Hi and welcome to Bytes and Bits. If you're anything like me, you'll probably have a number of these things lying around in your drawer. So these are 3.5-inch hard drives, and they've sort of gone out of fashion a wee bit in favour of sort of SSD drives and NVMe drives and so on. So quite often, if you've been upgrading your PC, you'll have one of these just coming out, and it sort of seems to just sort of sit in a drawer doing nothing. But they are actually incredibly useful devices. And at the moment then, because they are out of favour, in terms of pounds per terabyte of storage, these offer incredible value for money. So the actual devices themselves, we can use them. They don't have to be plugged into a computer to be able to use them. So although they are termed internal hard drives, you can get hold of a little SATA to USB adapter, which plugs into the SATA port on here, and that then lets you plug it in via this USB cable then into your laptop or your desktop. Now, if you are going to be using one of these 3.5-inch drives and you're getting hold of one of these adapters, do make sure that you get one which comes with a 12-volt power supply. So this one here, there's a little 12-volt power input at the back of it here. So this plug adapter just plugs in there, and then that is enough to then drive the 3.5-inch hard drive. So these do need that 12-volt power supply. If you buy one of these ones, which are very handy for plugging 2.5-inch or the laptop style SSD drives and hard drives, they don't need the 12 volts. They'll just run off the 5 volts that comes on here. But if you try and plug one of these in here, it just will not work. There just is not enough power coming through this. So do be very careful. And I will put links in the description down below to various devices which I would recommend, and the ones that I'm using here for mine. So these 3.5-inch hard drives, then, as I say, they do offer incredible value in terms of pounds per terabyte. And that lets you then use them as readily available backup devices. You can plug them into your laptop to increase its storage space. Or you can actually turn these into retro gaming hard drives, where you can simply just take this hard drive, plug it into a PC, and then boot the PC up into something like Batocera or Recalbox and turn it immediately into a retro gaming machine. And those uses then, so the backup device and the retro gaming hard drive, I will be visiting those and doing videos on those in the upcoming weeks. So do make sure that you, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, do make sure you then turn on notifications. So as soon as I release those videos, then you can have a look at that and find out how you can reuse your old hard drives. But once you come to use these hard drives, then you do need to start looking after them. So if we look at the back of it here, you'll see that it does have an open circuit board. And this, of course, if it's just bashing around inside a drawer or something like that, that can get damaged, and you can start to then get bits of metal getting embedded in behind the circuit board. And of course, that's really going to give you a bad day when you come to turn this back on again. So by a bit of good timing, a company called KiwiFotos sent me for review one of their 3.5-inch hard drive cases. And that is the thing I have here. So this is designed not to allow you to plug your device into your laptop or your computer. So it's not a hard drive caddy as such. It is purely a protection device, so that when you are using these 3.5-inch drives as your backups and so on, you can store them in here, and that will then keep them very safe from dust and liquid and so on. So let's have a look at this case and just see if it does actually provide the protection that the company says it does. The hard drive carry case comes as a sealable, high-impact plastic box designed to withstand knocks and bumps, dust, water, and pretty much anything else you can throw at it. The box itself is made from a sturdy plastic weighing in at 280 grams or 10 ounces. It has a snap-to-seal lever-style fastening, which simply pulls out to break the seal and allow the lid to open. It comes with 2 removable EVA foam pads, and you can use those to adjust the depth of the unit to allow you to accommodate a range of drive sizes. Now the interior is also fully lined with EVA foam padding, and that will absorb any shocks from dropping and keep the hard drive securely held in place. Now I have a couple of 3.5-inch hard drives here, which are different thicknesses. So if I put this thicker one into the case with no extra padding, you can hear that as I shake it here that it's not fully secure and it's knocking about inside of the box. If however I add one of the layers of EVA foam and then reseal the box, the hard drive is now held securely in place. So similarly then, the thinner hard drive, I can place one of the extra EVA sheets below it and then one above it. And this then makes sure that even this size drive is also held firmly in place as I shake this case around. Now, although the case isn't primarily designed for the 2.5-inch laptop style drives, there is enough room to actually fit two inside here. Now, unfortunately, even with two extra padding sheets, the drives are still not held securely in place, and hopefully you can hear them rattling about inside there. But they are reasonably well protected, enough if you just want to use them for some sort of careful journey, taking them with you somewhere. So the case does a great job of securing the 3.5-inch drives that it's designed for, but what about then the protection level? Now the case seal uses a rubber sealing gasket which runs around the join between the top and bottom halves of the box. Now this is firmly sealed when the lid is snapped shut, forming a fully sealed container then for the drives. Now the manufacturer specifies that this is water resistant rather than waterproof, so I suspect it will withstand rain and the occasional drop into a puddle, rather than taking it for a swim. So let's start testing out how good the actual protection is then. So here I'm using some flour and I'm sprinkling it along the join line of the lid and then trying to blow that into the actual box. And this should test the dust ingress for the actual device. And again, they say this is making it dust proof. So let's do that. Next we can check then the water resistance of it. So again, I'm simulating here a pretty heavy downpour of rain, and so I'm not totally submerging it, but as good as here. And again, it's going to help get rid of some of that flour. So we'll check that and see how it performs. And then I brought it back inside again now, and I'm going to towel dry the outside of it to make sure that none of the drips are going to drip in and give us a false reading. So once that's all nice and dry, I can then open up the box and we can have a look inside. So opening it up, we can see that there is some water around the edges of the outside of the seal. But actually inside the seal then, this thing is perfectly dry. I can't see any signs of water having got in here or of any of the flour getting in. So that seal has really held secure while we've done all of our tests. So that's really, really encouraging. So with that passed, our next test then is the drop test. And well, that didn't quite go as well as expected. So let's give it another go and see what happens. And well, that wasn't so much better. I think what's really happening here is that it's the actual locking mechanism for the handle. So this is really held in place by two little latches which lock over a bar on the bottom half of the lid, and that just locks it in place. So when this hits the ground, obviously that is jolting open and then spilling out the contents, which of course isn't so great for the protection of your hard drive. So in terms of actual crash damage from these falls then, so again, I did drop it from a reasonably large height for this type of device. And then you can see it obviously landed on one of these corners, but even from that height, we only get a small dent in the actual plastic. Having a look further around here, again, a slight dent in that corner as well. But that's pretty much it. So that was two drops from head height onto concrete, and I think it's lasted pretty well there. So again, in terms of the plastic itself, no problems at all. So really the only problem I have is with that lid popping open. So what I would suggest is that once you put your hard drive in there, a sort of reasonably thick elastic band around that latch will hold it in place quite firmly then. So if it does happen to fall from a reasonable height, it's not going to pop open and spill that hard drive onto the floor. So that's our hard drive case then for keeping your 3.5-inch drives protected. So as I say, I've gone through the test there as regards protecting it from things like liquids and dust and general sort of storage if you're keeping it then somewhere fairly secure in a cupboard or wherever you happen to keep these things. This is perfectly good, and I will be using this one for my hard drive. Again, in terms of the drop resistance, again, the actual impact resistance is perfectly good. It will keep it from the hard drive from actually getting damaged. Of course, we then need to make sure that we keep that latch fairly securely closed. And again, the rubber band that I was using on there does really keep that from popping open. So thank you very much to KiwiFotos for sending this down for review. I am very pleased with that, and I will be keeping that and keeping my drives in there. If you do want to then have a look at what we can actually do with these hard drives in terms of using them as a backup device or then as a retro gaming hard drive, then do make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click that notification button so that you get notified when I release those videos over the coming weeks. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you find it useful. I look forward to seeing you again very soon, and bye for now. For more games programming, electronics projects and retro gaming, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my website.